Welcome to this training on how to build a future-proof lifestyle business that gives you income, impact, and freedom. I'm Chrissoll, the co-founder of Mindspo, together with my wife, Rochelle. This training will resonate with quite a few different people, but I'm going to be speaking to one person specifically, and that is someone who went through something and found meditation or other regulation tools, had a transformation, and now you are feeling called to bring these gifts to other people. If that is you, then this training is exactly for you. And I want to commend you because you specifically are sitting here right now because you're thinking about not just using these tools to benefit yourself, but also to create something so that other people can learn this ability for us to find our center and just be able to enjoy a life of presence, a life of harmony and peace. So let me cover what we're going to be talking about in this training today. First, we're going to understand the opportunity that exists as people are waking up and are hungry for tools like meditation and nervous system regulation, and just to understand where things are going. Then I'm going to share with you why your personal story is actually your greatest asset in building your wellness venture. Finally, I'm going to share with you a 3-step blueprint to build whatever kind of lifestyle business that you want to create. This could be a coaching business, this could be a retreats business, this could be online programs or membership communities. It could be all of those things combined. The common factor among all of those is that you call the shots, you are in charge of your own life, you are doing work that is genuinely useful to people where everybody wins. So without further ado, let's first take a look at what even is a good business. To me, there are a few different conditions. There is a real problem, actual pain around that problem. There should be great solutions available. You want to have a good product. There should be a big transformation, a before and after state. You should also be getting paid well for this work. You should be able to sustain this work for the long term. As they say, begin with the end in mind. So let's take a look at the current state of the world and what real problems we are dealing with. Because there are certain problems that used to be more rare. There are certain mental wellness conditions that are unfortunately getting worse that can be mitigated and addressed through meditation. This is one study, and you can see over the last 10-12 years, the trends around mental wellness are not looking good. This was a map of countries around the world that are dealing with high levels of stress. The darker green the country, the more stressed that country is. Here are some studies around anxiety disorder in the United States, in Australia, in England. As you can see, the younger people are, the worse it is getting. Now, what are the impacts of stress and anxiety on people's lives? To be honest, it doesn't leave any part of life untouched. Your happiness, your level of optimism, your productivity, your physical health, your mental health, your relationships, cognition, memory, sleep. So it's no surprise that there has been a giant spike in people searching for the keywords nervous system regulation because people have become problem aware and they are now looking for solutions to address their chronic state of fight or flight. Anxiety and stress have obviously got many causes. There are dietary factors, there are trauma factors, there are genetic factors. So we have to practice a level of humility. But I will say one thing, there is a factor involved in stress and anxiety that we can have a very direct impact on. And it's what I like to call the engine that is basically amplifying the impact of stress and anxiety. That thing that keeps it going is rumination and overthinking. The key takeaway here is that mental wellness as a focus in our society is here to stay, and in-person services are going to continue to grow in relevance and value. A good question to ask is how many meditation and regulation teachers are there? And in all honesty, we are looking at a fraction of mental wellness focused state change practitioners compared to people who have specialized in the physical body. Also, one thing to address, we all are talking and hearing about AI nonstop. It pays in business and in life in general to be able to see around the corner and look at what the future is bringing us. And one thing that is abundantly clear is that in-person experiences, in-person services, in fact, anything that is created that is clearly clearly made by a passionate human being with their own unique essence is only going to become more premium, more valuable, and more powerful as time goes on and as everything gets so artificial. So now let's talk about the power of your story, because your personal story may very well be giving you the clues of what a great career could look like for you. I'll share a little bit more about my story and how we ended up here building Mindspo so that you understand the context a little better. When I turned 25, I had a corporate job in Sydney. Let's just say I was a fish out of water. It was just a very mismatched career for the type of person that I was. So I ended up hitting burnout. I would dream that I was at work because of the stress. I started losing weight and I really was not in a very good place at all. Then I met Rochelle. She was a blogger and a presenter. I was a graphic designer. And what became clear is that Rochelle was dealing with a lot of things that she was hiding beneath a mask. A mask of I'm fine, I'm okay. But when she would fall asleep, she would start having night terrors. She would have anxiety. She was having a panic attack once every week or two. And so we went on a journey for about 18 months of trying everything to see how we could address the anxiety, the depression, and the voice inside of her head that was at times telling her to leave this reality early. We tried everything under the sun. We went the conventional route until she had a bad interaction between something that was prescribed and something that she was taking herself. Then she stopped both of those things at the same time, which apparently you're not meant to do. And she had a psychotic episode while we were at home. At a certain point, things got really bad and she was going through a really dark patch at about the 18-month mark, when a friend of ours recommended to look into meditation because he had seen footage of soldiers who came back from the war dealing with PTSD, and they would practice a form of meditation that would very quickly bring them back to themselves. And like a miracle, it starts to work from the first moment that you do it. The first session, you notice like a remote control, your nervous system just gets down-regulated and your heart slows down and the noise inside the head dissipates. And when you come out of a session like that, you noticeably feel different. Now, with daily practice of about 20 minutes per day, there were noticeable changes. Her level of anxiety, how fast she would go to sleep and how much she would stay asleep. Her panic attacks stopped. She's had 3 or 4 in the last 15 years since then, and she was having one every week or two before that. And it was just a life-changing piece of information, a skill. This was like a missing piece of the instruction manual of the human body. This was the most important page in the entire instruction manual as far as I'm concerned, because it is a night and day difference for how you experience your life moment by moment, depending on whether your mind is busy whilst your nervous system is sitting in semi-fight or flight at all times, or whether you have the ability to calm yourself and your animal down once a day and just be able to exist in this one singular present moment that we all have. So for the next 5 years or so, we were evangelists telling anyone and everyone about this crazy meditation thing. And if you just practice this for 20 minutes a day, you get to live your best life. So in 2016, we registered Mindspo and we created a meditation course. It was very secular and we started having hundreds and eventually thousands of people complete this very short but effective program. And lo and behold, people were messaging us, oh my God, this is the most life-changing thing I've ever learned. So in 2018, we then started Mindspo retreats. Since then, we've done about 45 retreats with up to 30 people attending. And we've had 1,000 people come together, meditate for one whole week, along with other wonderful workshops. There's been live events that we've run, collaborations and podcasts and all the other things. But all of it comes down to a lived experience. There was a hero's journey, and that is the fuel, that is the core of the entire wellness business that we have built, that has been able to allow us to live in multiple countries around the world, be our own boss, and as we work on these projects, basically just leave behind us a trail of people who message us for years telling us that the thing that we made was the hockey stick moment where things really changed positively in their lives. And that is a really wonderful thing, to know that the work that you do has that impact on people. So now I want to share with you the 3 key pieces that you need to think about if you want to start a wellness business like this. So let me walk you through that now. So the 3 components that are at the base of creating a wellness venture that serves people in a really meaningful way, but also doesn't burn you out and gives you the flexibility and gratitude and happiness that you are desiring, comes down to 3 things. And that is alignment, which basically just means choosing a business model that is suited to your energy type. Whether you're an introvert or an extrovert, whether you're a feeler or whether you're logic. If you choose the wrong business model for the type of person that you are, then there can be a lot of friction. So alignment is the first piece, then visibility. If the people you want to serve don't know that you exist, then it doesn't matter if you're the greatest teacher in the world if you don't have any clients and no one to serve. And the final piece of this is identity, which is knowing your own story, being able to tell it well, and also feeling like you are the guide, because you are. If you've gone through something, you are already a guide. But you have to step into that and initiate yourself into the role of being that teacher, that support, that guide to other people. Okay, so let's cover alignment now. How do we reverse engineer a business model, an offer, a lifestyle business that suits us on a very deep, energetic level? Well, we have to first understand what we are actually like. And obviously we know ourselves to a certain degree, but there are also a lot of things about you that you might not actually be aware of. But there are certain tools and systems and tests that exist that can help us understand ourselves. Now, it's never going to help us understand ourselves fully, if that is even possible. But what I'm suggesting here, to create the maximum level of alignment between who you are deep down and the pursuit that you choose in the wellness sector, I'm going to suggest to you a unique method, okay, which is to complete something called the MBTI. This is a personality test, also known as the Myers-Briggs personality test. It's about 100 questions where you choose how much you agree or disagree with certain statements. And at the end, it's going to give you a 4-letter acronym. Now, what I'm going to suggest for you when you complete this test, which you can take at 16personalities.com, is to record the actual percentages, not just the 4-letter acronym, because there is a real spectrum within your personality in terms of how introverted or extroverted, or how logical or feeling or organized or spontaneous you might be. And for what we're going to use this for, you are going to want to have the actual numbers. So do this test and record your results. Then you can use your astrological data as an additional data point. So you can complete a birth chart, for instance, at a website called astro.com. When you complete this, it's going to give you your birth chart, which looks something like this. Those 2 things together are already going to give you a pretty good indication of what is going to be suitable to you. If you now take those 2 results and use any large language model such as ChatGPT or Claude or whatever it is that you use, if you use AI, obviously not everyone is on board, and I totally understand why, but I will say for a use case like this, where you can have the AI act as an intermediary that is basically an expert on Myers-Briggs and birth chart readings, and then you give it your unique results and give it a prompt such as, I am beginning a mental wellness meditation business. I'm trying to understand what business models and types of offers are most suitable to my unique personality and my unique makeup. Can you analyze these 2 attached results and then list for me in order of alignment what kind of work is going to be most suitable for me? Anything like that as a general question is going to help you understand whether you are more suited to working with people individually, whether you are a group person, a crowd person, or whether you might be better off building and creating and crafting and recording and producing assets that you can then release into the world through the power of technology. It's going to explain to you a lot of stuff. So this is what I use to reverse engineer high levels of alignment. So let's continue on to visibility. Because if nobody knows that you exist, then you're not going to have a business or clients or anything. The secret weapon is YouTube. Now, before you roll your eyes and say, oh my God, I'm not going to become a YouTuber, just think about for a moment what YouTube even is, or what all these platforms even are. They are just attention aggregating platforms. You get to put a message out there and then people will either listen to it or watch it or interact with it or ignore it in most cases. YouTube is different to the other platforms that we use because it's actually where attention span still exists, where people are willing to sit down for 5, 10, 20, 30 minutes and consume a single piece of messaging versus these other short form platforms, which are very powerful, but that don't do a very good job at building a strong connection between you and the person creating the content. When you don't have a strong connection because you're not spending a lot of time together, then trust is low and everything gets a little bit harder. So what I want to suggest for you is a way that you can use this and use the short form for the big attention, but then funnel people to the long form place from there. And the wonderful thing is you can start with the long form place, which is less polished. It's all about you just being yourself, set up a nice little frame and just speak and communicate and share your ideas and share your stories. And then you will be able to take little pieces of that and put that on the short form. This way you don't need to be all day long making little clips. Instead, it can just be you as a mindful individual sharing your stories, sharing what you care about, sharing your thoughts on certain topics, and sharing your skills and techniques in wellness to help people out there. And all of that can still help you build a presence on these short form platforms. But so basically, we need watch time. We need people to spend time with you in your presence in order to build trust. Without trust, nothing happens. So the simplest way is to create a singular hero piece of content. This is something where you really go deep into some kind of topic. Then you create other videos on YouTube. You make some that are commentary, where you are speaking about something that's going on right now in the world. Then you have value content, which is where you are genuinely teaching and providing value on whatever topic you have chosen. But then there should also be personal content. This could be behind the scenes content, or this could be you sharing stories where you are vulnerable about your own shortcomings, your experiences, your pitfalls along the way. This together will mean that you don't just appear like some teacher to them who's always teaching, but you're a real person, thereby allowing them to build a proper connection with you. Now, the key is that all of these videos that you start making, they all at the end recommend the one singular hero video. At the end, it will always say, if you're really interested in solving this problem, then make sure you watch my 101 hero video of whatever. And then what you do is you take clips from all of these longer videos, and this is where you make short form clips. And they all basically just have some kind of instruction to watch the full video on YouTube. You can take a little snippet and add a really good hook. And then underneath it says, if you want to keep watching this video, then follow these instructions. This is basically where you can get really big reach, but the content only lasts a day or two. Sometimes it goes off a week later or something, but it's short-lived. Short form content, you have to keep pouring into it. And if you're thinking about this level first, it's going to take a long time to build trust with people. Whereas if you just use this platform to get them to the YouTube videos, this is where they can actually sit with you. They can put it on in the kitchen while they're cooking. Then you can have that going to this one big piece. And then from here, there'll be a next instruction, which can be a call, which can also be to go into an opt-in. An opt-in is basically just a free piece of value, which in exchange, they will give you their email address. Some people will also make like a low ticket kind of thing here. There are ways that you can set this up depending on what it is that you're selling and depending on how expensive it is, what is going to be more suitable. But the idea with all of these is that you can then send people emails. You write some really good messages and staying at the top of their mind. And then all of this will eventuate into whatever you want to offer to the world, whether it's your container, your program, your retreat, whatever it is. But this is a simple way that you can create a waterfall system where you start here and you pour it in the top, and then all of the people go through this journey all the way to the bottom. And one thing most people don't know is that it usually takes about 7 to 10 touch points for the average person to become a customer or a client of whatever it is that they're being informed around. So don't expect that it's all gonna happen right at the top when you make a post on Instagram or something. Now, the final piece of the puzzle is identity, which is realizing that you do not need to wait for permission to decide that you want to help people and that you want to build your own offers for the world. The fact that you have been through something and you've managed to shift things in that realm through tools like meditation and nervous system regulation and breathwork and whatever other modality you utilized, that is your story, that is your greatest asset. And the fact that you managed to create a shift within you, that is the biggest piece of this qualification. Now, you do need to learn how to tell that story. And stories are actually a really, really simple thing to master with a bit of practice. The broad strokes just boil down to 4 steps. You need to be able to articulate the before state. Where were you? What was it like? Remember the emotions, the stuff that was running through your mind at 3 o'clock in the morning. Whatever the emotional side of that experience was, get really good at remembering and articulating that experience, because that's what people are going to connect with. Then there needs to be a moment where there was a shift. There was a pivotal moment. And then there is the after. And then the final piece of a story is extending the invitation to someone else, to that person, to that one other person that's on the other side of the lens, like you and me in this moment right now. People often wait until they feel worthy. They think that there's going to be a moment in life where someone is going to come up and, I don't know, knight them or something and say, you are finally worthy. You are allowed to now go and do all of the things that you want to do. And I just want to tell you that that moment never comes. It's just that some of us get fed up with waiting and eventually just give ourselves permission to just get out there. What I want to point out, if you are someone who feels like they came to this world to help, if you are born and incarnated in this moment, in this world, and you went through some experience that allowed you to discover these ancient tools and techniques of self-inquiry and self-exploration and regulation, that is not by chance or by accident. At least I don't think so. What I want to invite you to do is to step into the role of the guide. I believe that the world is a reflection of our collective state of consciousness. And I truly believe that that level that we are able to look after each other and the world is in direct correlation to how we take care of ourselves. And I find it's wild that there are these incredibly life-changing techniques like mantra meditation and so many others that exist that can alleviate so much of the pain and unfold the potential that every human being has within themselves. And I really just want to empower more people to step into this space. As my partner and I did 10 years ago, we are still building so many things, so many offers as the world gets more stressed, as things get more artificial. So if you are someone who feels like they want to get involved in this, If you want to build a business, if you want to work for yourself, if you want to create a coaching business or programs or run retreats or do corporate wellness, then I want to invite you to check out the Mindspo Meditation and Regulation Teacher certification. It is the signature program that Rochelle and I have put together. It's our certification with everything that we've learned over the last 10 years running Mindspo. Rochelle teaches all of the facilitation side of things, and then I teach all of the online business side of things so that you can get your work out there. I've put a link to it below this video. If you feel a resonance, I invite you to book a call and then we can see if it's the right fit for you. That's it from me today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this video was valuable and I hope to see you inside the certification. I'm Chrissoll. Take care.